And so, welcome back to another tutorial. It's been a while. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a better particle effect with one simple trick. It's called UV scrolling, so it gives more life to your singular particle, but I'm gonna explain that more later. So right, I'm using Godot 4.0.2, so if you're following with Godot 3.5, then you might find some differences here and there. So let's just get started. Oh, and also one more thing, that it also works not only for 3D, which is mainly what I will demonstrate, but also it works for 2D particle system, as you might see on the screen at the moment. Alright, let's just go ahead and jump into creating the particle itself. So we are here in the fresh scene. I'm just going to create a 3D scene over here, and then I'm going to add a mesh. Well, I think I'm gonna show you the basic particle system navigation, or yeah, the system itself. So create a GPU particles 3D, and then let's add a new particle process material. Click on that, and nothing really happened yet. Why? Because we haven't assigned any drawing passes here. Any drawing pass. Now let's create a new quad mesh. There you go. Now it spits out like that basic plain mesh with minimum vertices. Now let's just play around with the physics system to make it look a little bit more like, how should I say, fire, right? So fire usually goes up, not go down, right? And then let's scale it. Make a curve here, and then adjust the curve size, or the curve, what am I saying? Okay, so you start from small and then go in big, so like that. Okay. Let's assign a new material. Let's go to geometry, material override, and then click new shader material. We are going to create a basic material for this one, so yes, shader, new shader, and then click on visual shader for sure. That's my weapon of choice. Can't really write shader, I don't like it. So VFX, let's save it on shader over here. And oh, I have basic material, but I'm gonna create from scratch, so basic material 2, I think, to separated it. Right, we have that. Let's click on create, and we have that. Click on the shader basic material there. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's assign like texture, so we have something to show here. Texture 2D parameters, and then call this one as just the main texture. Let's add, oh, that's Blender, what is it? Reflex right there. Main texture, and then let's add a texture 2D. This is a sampler for the texture parameters. Connect sampler 2D to the sampler 2D port, but you might get this error, and then you change the input, I think, to sampler port. Click on it. Okay, there is some bug. Sampler port. There you go. And then connect it to the albedo. Albedo. I don't know, I still don't know how to pronounce that specific word. And right, I have a texture on my folder here, like Flame04. Let's go. Then click on, drag it right there. Right, it has blue, or it's not blue, what am I saying, like black alpha, not black alpha, but black square there. So we just click the color and then hit alpha there, and I think we need lighting to make it a little bit lighter, or brighter rather. So there you go, we have that. Let's get it out of the way. Can we just, no, we cannot turn that off. Anyway, so we have that. You know, you can always play around. Oh, one more thing, that particle usually will always face the camera. You know, this is the problem. When you rotate the camera, it will look flat, which that's not what I wanted, but if that's what you wanted, then leave it be. But I want the particle to face the camera all the time. So go to the vertices, the vertex shader option, and then go get the get billboard matrix node, and then click on that. Right, it's okay to set this billboard type enabled, but I want to change it to particle because we're dealing with particle, right? And as you might notice, the scale now is not applied, so you just click on the keep scale right there. Anyway, so now it's always facing the, what is it, the camera. And sometimes, let's say if you not disable but enable here, why set to particles matter? Because when you are dealing with the process material of the particle system, then you try to use the angle over here, it will not rotate. As you might see, it's still the same, right? But if you change to particle, now it rotates, which that's what I wanted. So maybe just minus 180 and 180 on the on the angle max, right? So there you have it. Now it's a little bit randomized, which is good. And also you might notice like the frame rate on this one is a little bit like slower than it should, or lower than it should. Then you can go to the time drop down menu and then set this one to 60. Now it will look smooth. Yeah, right. Oh, one more thing, maybe if you want to set the color here and it doesn't change the color of the particle because you haven't multiplied the original texture with the input color in fragment nodes here. Input in the fragment shader with the color node, that's what I'm trying to say. And then we hit multiply. Where is it? Factor 4. There you go. Just connect. Okay, here and also there. Now it will fade or tint it accordingly to the gradient that you have over here. It looks pretty good, I guess, if that's what you wanted. But again, I think I want to improve upon the fire itself, like giving it more life, you know. So we can do that by giving a secondary motion into the singular particle itself. So we are going to do that by adding a noise textures, and then noise texture is only one, and add a UV scrolling into the noise texture itself. So alright, I think I'm just gonna maybe save the particle system here and then save VFX. I think just there is fine, and call it like fire particle system. It saves there. Then let's start from scratch, right? So we have, okay, save the scene as well, maybe. All right, basic particle. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new material here. Not new material, but new particle system. So create a new particle system again, and then let's add a process material, or maybe just use the fire particle system and drag it over there, so we don't really have to create it from scratch. New quad mesh, so it's the same, but now we're going to improve upon the basic material here. So let's go ahead and take our basic material to the geometry, create new shader material, and then drag that to our shader option right there. And then we'll make it unique, so we have comparison, you know. Make unique this one or recursive. I don't know what's the difference. Maybe if you know, leave something in the comment explaining what's the difference between the make unique and make unique recursive, because I don't know if that's affecting the performance or not. But anyway, let's just go with make unique. So right, okay, it says it is unsaved. Maybe it's better for us to save. Okay, go to VFX and then raw assets, and then shader, material. I don't know, maybe UV scroll 2, because I already did the UV scrolling for the example in the opening. Hit save. All right, so we need to assign a texture to the texture parameter there. Click on flame 4 and then see this one. Alright, again, I think we need to add light to the scene. Where is it? There you go, directional light, and then just do whatever with it. Maybe like, ooh, go ahead, go away. We're going to tweak the material, so of course we are going to need a sampler, texture sampler in this case, and we're going to add, or name this one is noise texture. And then let's just disconnect the alpha for a moment. Let's add a node, a multiply node for this one. Multiply, here we go. So we are going to multiply the main texture with the noise texture, right? So at the moment there is no assigned texture to the noise texture, we are going to add that. Noise texture is empty there, so I add like this fire noise that I have. So okay, now I have the alpha there. Nothing really happened, but if we see, like, make it clear, for example, you might see the difference, right? That's previously with only one, or the main texture without the noise texture, and this one is after adding the fire texture, right? So like I told you, we are going to add secondary motion. We can do that by scrolling the UV. So we can add a UV panning node. Let's connect that with the UV, right? And then add UV input. Where are you? There you go. Click on this one. And then we add vector2 parameters to scroll our UV, and maybe call this one noise scroll. I'm not so sure with the naming, but you can do whatever you want. So this is go to the offset. So what it does, so if we like crank this up, you can see there is a secondary movement, but we need to do it manually by our mouse, you know. That's not what we want. So we need to use like, or we need to optimize it in the shader itself. So as you might see that it gives like a secondary motion to the particle. We're going to do that automatically by adding a time node, and then multiply that time node with the noise scroll. You can do it in reverse or switch. It's okay. I think there's not much different. Right. Nothing really happened because we haven't assigned any, how should I say? The speed of the scroll itself. So like 1 is going to be faster, or -1 if it goes up, right? Or 0.5 is also good, or -0.5. So this is without a scroll. This is like that, and this one is with a scroll. Alright, so it gives more movement to the particle system itself. That's for the UV scrolling, and of course you can also like scale the UV of the. I'm gonna add another multiply. Scale the UV of the noise texture by multiplying. Excuse me, not that one. Vector2, multiplying that. Multiplying the UV map, the UV input rather, with some parameters. So let's add another parameters. Vector2 parameters. Name this one UV scale. Let's be more specific. Noise UV scale, right? And maybe assign a default value like 1. Yes, right. You can like make it bigger or smaller. It's all up to you. Usually bigger will have a noisier texture or noisier flame texture. There you go. That's a lot more detail and a lot more individual I don't know, holes here and there, but yeah, I'm gonna keep it to 1. There you go. So we give some life to this one. Then another adjustment that you can make is add a contrast, kind of. So we multiply again the final color. So in this case, I think I'm gonna this one. Okay, the final multiplication here, and we add a float parameters and call this one contrast, right? Okay, so maybe set the default value to 1. Right, what this does is like give it contrast. Basically, if you want it to make like a brighter fire, then you assign the contrast like high. But as you might see, you should not set it too high because you're gonna get this error, you know. So maybe just set it to 2 or maybe 1.5. So depends on what you need. You can also play around with the modes here, like the blend mode. You can mix or add. Usually add will look better, but some cases maybe just leave it to mix. Right. Okay, so we have this particle material at the moment, and particle system at the moment, but it looks a little bit different than this one. Why? Because first of all, the number of the particle is different, so I set like to 20 or something over there. And also I have like a sparks particle system there, so I think just gotta duplicate this one and then process material and make this one unique as well. And I will assign different material for the geometry in this case. So click on that one, also make unique, and then check on the shader parameters. Now let's go to our texture and spark group. I have this texture, right? So now I add that, so it looks pretty similar but not the same, because it's sometimes hard to to replicate the exact same particle system. Then we like mingle, not mingle, why am I keep saying mingle? But like just play around with the settings here and there. There you go. So it's the spark like live longer than the main fire, and maybe like set the scale and let's fade it out, like really fade it out. There you go. Maybe turn up the damping here, like 3. Yeah, that's good. So save it, don't forget. So yeah, we just save it, and I think just gonna delete this one, and we're going to test it on our VFX test scene. Why is it important? Because VFX test scene has a different settings for like world environment, the lighting and stuff. So close this one and don't forget to save. I already saved it to my directory here, VFX packed and particle system. And yeah, I already added it to the VFX test scene. You can actually just drag it over here and then, you know, set the location and stuff. As you might see, maybe something a little bit different here because the layers, for some reason, I set it to 2. And I don't know, is that going to affect anything? But yeah, maybe go to the particle system and set this layer also to 2. This one also to 2. Alright, save it. Go back here. Nothing really changing though, so it doesn't really affect anything. I was wrong. Now, as you might see, it has a different colors, like the glows and stuff, and while the recently made particle doesn't have that, because I made some adjustment in the particle system that I created earlier, or before I started the tutorial rather. Let's take a look at the, yeah, like for example, like in this case, like the color is different, right? I make like the cologram different color than the one that I made. And also in the UV scroll texture here, wow, it's like a messy tangling whatever it is, tangling nodes, but it's actually just the same, right? We have like our main texture scrolling here, and then the things that are a little bit different is that I assigned some nodes to be into the assign a node to the emission port, right? So that's what make it a little bit different. So we can also do that. Go to our particle system here, or maybe we can just open this one, UV scroll 2, right? I'm going to use add a node, vector 4, and then click this one, and then click this one again, and then go to emission. It should make it glow, but of course we want to make an adjustment, you know, to our glow. We don't want that to be like unadjustable, so we need to add a float parameters and call this one emission strength. Just str, I think that suffice. Then let's multiply that to our node, maybe vector 4 here. Yeah, make it a little bit longer than that. There you go. Nothing really happened because we haven't assigned our oh, I should maybe just editable children, right? Go to geometry and then this one and set the emission strength. I cannot edit that, what the hell? All right, so I need to do it this way. Emission strength to 2, maybe 10, right? That's for the spark. Oh, that's too bright. Maybe 5 for the spark. And this one, where is the shader parameters? Maybe to 5. That's too bright. 3, 2. I don't know, just make some adjustment. That's what I'm trying to say. there you go. So we have that, and if we want to try to make it the same as the preview there, we need to adjust the color gradient here, so it's kind of the same. And so there you go, we have our fire particle system with improved animation. Yeah, before I let you go, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a reference. You know, there is a good talk from Diablo VFX artist. I think his name is Julian Love. You can check it out and just click on the link below in the description. And also one more good resource for you to download textures and tutorials also is from Simon Schreibt. I hope I pronounce his name correctly. He is really good at what he does, and I think it's good for you guys if you are interested in more VFX deep dive into creating shaders or creating stylized VFX or VFX for games in general. Just give it a try, give it a browse. You know, it's really useful. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching until the end. Hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Thank you so much once again. See you on the next tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make this on 2D particle system. So yeah, bye.